No?
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
just
he
trying
went
to
rook
get...
c2 check.
He did. He did. And what is the significance of that check? Is he just biting? He's trying to get the rook to d2 before he pushes g3, I assume.
I don't see exactly what is the big deal out of this move. But it cannot be worse on d2 than on b2.
Mm-hmm. Definitely not. And it's caused Magnus to spend half of his remaining time allotment deciding where to move his king.
Yeah, it's a big question where to go with the king, but I mean, king b4 should be only worse, I think. But of course, Magnus wants to discover the details of the position.
Well, let's try to prognosticate. How do we think this game is going to go? Can we throw some moves up? Because I threw some moves up earlier to show the queen versus rook position, but I was just bulleting them out. Let's say king d5 happens, okay? Fedoseev gives a check. King c5, g3.
G3.
We're pretty sure of this. Rook g7 forced. This is the only spot from which the rook can stop the pawn, right?
Yeah,
g2. a5, forced.
a5. e4.
e4. I love this part of the endgame. I can do this very well.
Yeah, this is why the rook on d2 is standing better than on b2, so the king has no chance to come to d4 and stop the pawn.
But wait a second. How does black actually win?
e3.
a7 and rook a2?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little scary. Rook takes g2, rook takes a7. King d4, king f4. Wow.
That's cooked.
Okay, so here. And no, I am the boss. I am the one who knocks. This is the black king, and this is crushing because of rook d2.
King f3, no?
King b5, played by Magnus in the meantime. Does that change anything about the line we just analyzed?
So let's say g3, rook g7, g2, a5,
old.
e2, a6, a3, a7.
It's just the king, the cosmetic placement of the king. If anything, it's even more convincing for black. I think we...
You know what he wants to go. King b6, e6, e2, rook g2.
Oh, that is a devilish trap. So Fedoseev, I think, has to go rook a7. This is a draw. Judith, it's so amazing. You're like, oh, I win the rook.
Yeah.
Yeah, joke's on you, because
Good luck.
Is a draw. You try to find a win here. You try to discover America. I mean, this is a draw. But instead, the winning move, I think, this is actually, I think, what I threw up on the board. Rook takes a7.
Yes. Yeah.
And the white rook, it's got, a PhD dissertation to write, and it's got a family to take care of, and it's got too many tasks, and it can only take one pawn. Now,
but no, I don't think you can
win the rook?
Survive. Yeah.
I think black wins the rook by force. If you could go rook g2 to b6,
yeah,
we'd have a conversation to have. Here, I think black will zigzag the queen until the rook is won.
Somehow, yes. Rook g8 still. But it should be somehow white is losing.
Yeah, here.
And king b8, queen b4, king a8, queen a3.
Down the staircase we go.
Exactly.
And there's always going to be some zigzag, some staircase until the rook is picked off the queen. It's omniscient. It sees all the little corners. There's no place to hide. Judith, this is totally forced. Completely forced.
Well, that's how it seems so, but I completely understand that Magnus wants to play it out. I mean, still, there are always chances that, let's say, Fedoseev plays e4 instead of g3.
Yeah, I mean...
again, in these kind of positions when you are winning, but you still have to make a choice, this is winning, that is winning. It also depends which move you start with. Do you start with g3, you see all the way how it wins, or you start with e4 and you also think that it's winning? I don't know if e4 is not winning, of course, but the obvious continuation is definitely push the pawn which is already further and faster.
I want to shout out Let's One Man. Wonderful time. He crushed Luke McShane in 30 moves for Vietnam. Gawain Jones won his game. This is England versus Vietnam, and that match is down to the top board between Lei Kwang and Vitugov, which will end in a draw. So we'll get a 2-2 result there. Judith, also, when we lay out the path, it's so easy to say, well, this is the path. What else? What could be more natural? But there is no road markers for Vladimir Fedoseev, right? There's no arrows. Come this way. This road is paved. He has to choose on every move, and he knows what's at stake here.
Yes.
Norway's in trouble. Christensen lost to Demchenko, so obviously Magnus losing would end the match immediately. Then the Olympiad. Magnus loses, the Olympiad ends. Just kidding, of course.
Well, of course, on Magnus, there's also a lot of pressure. I don't know how much he feels it, but he will have a bad day. I mean, this is not what he expected from himself, to have a game like this with White. He just didn't have the game he wanted.
Yeah. And do you think this started early? Like when he got into the end game, the fact that he felt like he didn't have winning chances and he thought that this was a game he should have really grabbed control of from the early stages. It just seems like his mood, his vibe wasn't what we're used to seeing from Magnus, which is to take nothing away from Fedoseev, of course.
Yes, but it happens many times that when great players lose a game, that they lose actually because they end up in a bad opening or in something that they don't feel comfortable at all. And this was exactly the case when I won against Gary. It was a rapid game, not a classical, but he simply made a very bad opening choice. He played the Berlin. It was a queen off endgame, and it was just simply not his game to play. It was not his style. He couldn't show the Gary who is Gary in this kind of type of position. And I feel that it happened the same thing with Magnus. He somehow got the position after move 12. It was not something that he could really create some trouble for the opponent, because it was such a liveless position that it's not that there are so many different actions and problems to pose to the opponent.
Judah, I will have to show you Dingley Ren's game against Maksud. So 1978 was when they won?
Yeah. So it's 76, I was born.
So the universe.
But we had great teams and players from the very first Olympiad, basically. Like Hungary was always, for 200 years, we had amazing players and players who were acknowledged in the world of chess as one of the top players. Now we see Magnus still fighting for his life.
Yeah, and it's lost. But speaking of medals, there's another gold medalist, commentary gold medalist, John Sargent. I present you with the virtual medal. Congratulations. Any winner speech remarks by the medal recipient?
Thank you very much. I would first like to thank my co-commentators, Judith Polgar and Daniel Naroditsky, for carrying me on their shoulders all the way through to this virtual medal ceremony. I appreciate that very much. And the tenacity of the fantastic players at the Box Sports and Conference Center for giving us so much content to talk about and so many storylines to follow. It's not even the beginning of the end anymore, Judith, is it? I feel like even Magnus, with the strongest mental game arguably in the world, he's playing the moves out now, but
it's over.
We're about to see a
resignation. We're 3 moves away. Wow.
Well, he plays until the very, very end, until the moment he feels that there is little chance. But of course, he understands what is the evaluation of the position. He does not cheat himself by believing that he has really any realistic chance to save the game. As we see, he just resigned.
So there we go, folks. That is absolutely massive. So many storylines that we are going to be following. Magnus